Hi, hello, Miss Steele here, and this week we are talking about pattern. So we are going to make our own pattern winter gnomes. So for this project, you are going to want, I'm trying to move some of my stuff off, a colored piece of paper. I have yellow, but you can use whatever color you would like. You want a white piece of paper. We're going to use this for details and for our gnome's beard. I have these two pattern sheets. A pattern is our focus for the week. So a pattern is any sort of line, shape, or color that repeats itself again and again. So I'm going to set those aside just so I can look at them if I need some pattern inspiration. You want a pencil and an eraser. You want glue, scissors, and of course something to color in with. I have crowns and markers for today, but you can use what you have. So I'm going to move all of this stuff out of the way. And what we're going to do first is we're going to draw a hat for our gnome. So your hat can look different than mine, but I'm going to show you kind of the basic way to draw our gnome's hat. So we are going to use half of this for the hat, and then the other half we're going to use for body and details. So to start out our gnome's hat, I'm going to draw the bottom of it. And I'm going to make it go curved, and then I'm going to bring it up just a little bit because I'm going to fit in a nose for my gnome right below his hat. So I had a curved line, bump, curved line. And now I'm going to draw two lines on the side. I'm making them a little bit curved if you can see. And then I'm going to follow along this, and this is almost going to be like the brim of my hat. Like that. And now we can start drawing the top of our hat. So you can make your hat kind of however you want. This is whenever you can start to freestyle. I'm going to make mine a really tall stocking cap. So I'm going to draw some curved lines, and then coming out of the side of the curved line, I'm going to add my next. Like that. And then I'm going to keep using these curved lines to make the shape of my gnome's hat. And I think I'm going to add like a puff ball or something right here on the end. So I'm just going to make it round like that for now. And I can come back and change the shape up a little bit if I want to. And what we're going to try to do is we're going to try to sneak in some patterns in here. I want you to try to sneak in at least 4 different patterns, but you could add even more if you wanted to. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to draw over these lines like this a little bit harder. And then I'm going to erase my pencil lines so I can still see them, but they're not there as much. So then I can start hiding in my patterns. So I'm going to get this erased, and then we'll come back and start adding patterns onto our gnome's hat. I drew my lines and then I erased them so they're not there as much, and I can start working. I have yellow for my color, but you might have a different color for the base of like your hat and what's going to end up being the body of our gnomes. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to start adding some patterns in here. I think first I'm going to outline this area like that. Got some shavings on the back. And now I can start thinking about what kind of pattern I want to add in. And I think I'm going to do stripes. So there's my first pattern. So we're going to try to sneak in some patterns. So I'm doing a bunch of straight lines, and I'm going to do stripes as my first pattern. And then I think I'm going to outline this bottom part in this darker blue. And for this bottom part, I think right along here, I'm going to add my second pattern. And I want to add some stars on here. So now I have 2 patterns. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to finish off my hat, and I'm going to try to sneak in 2 more patterns because we want 4 patterns on our hat. So now I have 1, 2, and I need to work on the next 2 patterns. So I'm going to get this finished, we'll look at it, and then we'll move on to our next step. Alright, so I got my hat all colored in, and I have stripes pattern, and then I have zigzag lines, my stars, and then this is my last pattern here at the top. So I'm going to get this cut out, and then we will move on to our next step. So now I have my hat cut out. What I'm going to do is I'm going to set aside this other yellow paper because we do not need it yet. And then I'm going to set my hat right here on the top of my paper, and I'm going to draw 2 lines where the side of my hat are, like that. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to take those 2 lines, and I'm going to use that to start my beard. And my gnome is going to have, I'm adding a zigzag line for my gnome's beard. And I'm actually going to save what white paper is left over, and that's going to help us with our details later on. So I'm just drawing the shape of my gnome's beard, and I used big zigzag lines, so I brought it down, and then I started adding in those zigzags. So I'm going to get this cut out, and then we'll be able to add that onto our gnome. So once I get my beard cut out, we will move on to our next step. So I have my gnome's beard, but I almost think it's too long. So I'm going to go back and I'm going to shorten up his beard. So I think his beard is a little too long. So I'm going to go back and just trim it a little bit. If you want your gnome's beard to be really long, you can make it longer. I think I want my gnome to have a little bit of a shorter beard. I'm going to make the tops a little bit round like that. Perfect. And now what I'm going to do is I'm going to glue this piece right onto here. I think I'm going to add in some more cuts to his beard though. So I'm going back and I'm just cutting out some triangles from it. So I just felt like it could have used a little more detail. So I'm going to work on my gnome's beard a little bit more. And then once I'm done cutting it up and making it the way I want it to be, I'm going to put it right in behind here. Okay, so I trimmed up my beard just because I felt like it was a little too long. And now I'm going to glue it to my hat. So I'm going to take the top of it and I'm going to add in some glue. And then I'm going to glue it down just like that. And what I'm going to do now is I'm going to use my extra paper and I am going to draw my gnome a nose to put right here. And to draw him a nose, I'm going to use a marker, but you could use whatever color. And I'm going to draw a big flat oval like that. And I'm going to color it in. And I think I'm going to go back and I'm going to add some pink onto it like he's cold. So on top of my cream, I'm going to layer on some pink. And I'm going to get this cut out, and then we'll get it put onto our gnome's face. Got my nose cut out, and now I'm putting some glue on the back. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to put this right in the middle where we added in that little bump like that. And so now all we have to do is make our gnome's body, and then we can make his feet. So what we're going to do with our extra paper is I'm going to hold it up and I'm going to figure out how wide I want his body to be. I think like right here and right here. So you can measure out how wide you want your gnome's body to be. And I'm just going to bring 2 straight lines coming down, and then about halfway through my paper I'm going to draw a nice curved line like that. Boom! I'm going to cut this out, And then we're going to use this for our gnome's body, but we can also sneak in another pattern on here. So then we're going to glue this right behind here. And then we're going to add 2 feet on the bottom and 2 arms. So I'm going to take this and I'm going to start adding a pattern to this, because this is, and then I have my leftover yellow paper to help me with my arms, and my leftover white paper to make some shoes and some hands. So I think I'm going to do the stripe pattern that I had going on my last one, and I'm going to do it for my pattern on this. So I'm going to get my pattern going, and then we will move on to our next step. Alright, so I got my pattern all on the back here, and I glued it right behind his beard. So now we have his head, we have right here. So I'm going to use my leftover paper, and I have this piece right here. I'm going to fold it, and I'm going to cut out 2 ovals. And these are going to be his feet. So you can color these in whatever color you would like. I think I'm going to give him brown shoes. So I'm going to color these in brown, and then I am going to get them glued. I'm still deciding if I think I'm going to glue them right here behind here, but I might glue them in front. I'm undecided currently. We'll see. Okay, so I colored in his shoes brown, and now I'm going to glue them right here on the front. So now our gnome has some shoes. And then using my leftover yellow, I'm going to cut our friend some arms. So I'm going to take this, I'm going to fold it in half, and just like I did for his shoes, because I want his arms to be even, I'm going to cut and I cut out a long skinny U, and then I can put these right beside here for our gnome's arms. And then if you wanted to, you could use your white paper left over to give your gnome some gloves, but I think I'm going to leave him just as is. So I'm going to add some glue on the back, and then I'm going to glue down my gnome's arms, and then we will be finished, friends. So we made a pattern on his hat, a pattern on his clothes. If you wanted to add another pattern onto his arms, you could. You could even decorate his beard, but I'm going to leave it as is. So here is my winter gnome with patterns. I can't wait to see how you guys come out. I think these are going to be really fun. I will see you all next time. Have a wonderful rest of your morning, your evening, or afternoon. Bye.